Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Welcome to Brilliance Business TV, conversations with leading experts in business. I am your host, Mark Stephen Pooler. We have a wonderful guest today, Regeline Gigi Sabbat. She has an incredible story of domestic violence, domestic abuse. Through this pandemic, domestic violence and domestic abuse thrives because victims are stuck in with their abusers. I know we are slowly coming out of the pandemic, but this girl has so much value, and she has used her story to inspire and motivate others. She helps her clients to achieve their potential. She has motivational courses, programs. I cannot wait to get Gigi on to the show. I just want to make an official shout out to our show sponsors, Craig Shelley, Beverly Hills Luxury Watches and Fine Jewelry at craigshelley.com. That's craigshelley.com. We are streaming live on mspnewsglobal.com. We're also on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, and we're also streaming through the E360 TV network under Fresh Takes, going out to Apple TV, Fire TV, Android TV, Apple, Roku, and many, many more. So let's bring in our incredible guest, Gigi. Gigi, welcome to Brilliance Business TV. I'm so excited to have a conversation with you.
Likewise, it's an honor to be here.
You have an inspirational story that's really moving, that must have been so hard to go through. And now you are a motivational keynote speaker on stages, inspiring others. You are connected with the incredible Les Brown, who's endorsed books of yours. You are supporting your clients to achieve their potential. It's not always been that way for you, has it, Gigi? Could you share a little bit about your background that has led you to do what you do today?
Absolutely. So almost 3 years ago, I almost lost my life, death by strangulation in a domestic violence relationship. And I'll never forget the day I had just got done studying. And then I was on a phone call with a colleague from the Student Bar Association. I was on the couch, and the abuser charged at me, beat me, almost strangled me to death, threw my phone across the room. And when I tried to get back up to get my phone, I fell flat like a vegetable. And at the time, I didn't understand why, but the domestic violence advocates told me it's because I lost oxygen to the brain. So the fact that I'm still here and I'm able to utilize my skills and my knowledge, it's truly a blessing. And so after everything that occurred, I literally stepped into God's purpose for my life because I understand his purpose for my life. And so I got baptized again as an adult. I reread the Bible again as an adult. And then I wrote the books, Walk With Me and God First, which are a sequence.
It's an incredible story. Domestic violence, whether it's physical or mental, sometimes mental can be just as hard, even worse sometimes. What you went through, Gigi, is tragic, and I can only imagine how hard that was for you to go through, and having the strength then to pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and then to create a whole new journey of success. That's really inspirational. My question to you, What was the turning point, and how did you have the strength to move forwards into the light after that traumatic experience?
Absolutely. Great question. So essentially, this is what I tell folks all the time is that when you almost lose your life, you start seeing from a different lens. And so
Yes.
that moment I almost lost my life was the aha moment for me. And I'm just grateful for my family, my friends, and the community, as well as the domestic violence advocates, because they were very supportive.
It's a very, very inspiring thing that you are holding huge events now on global stages, talking about these subjects, really educating people so that they can really move forwards if they're going through any of these traumas. I know you're an advocate of bullying. We're going to do an event next year around bullying, which I'm really excited about. You talk about domestic violence, domestic abuse, but you also inspire people to reach their potential. So tell us a little bit more about your business now and how you serve your clients, Gigi.
Absolutely. So Life Service Center of America came about after I almost lost my life, that inspired me to launch the company as well. And so we have two different aspects. The first aspect is our motivational programs and courses that are taught by me. And then the second aspect is our business service navigator, which allows our members to locate the services they need in a reasonable time. And then we also, yes, we do the events as well. And I'm super excited as well for the global conference in regards to bullying, because bullying is an issue in our society and it's an ongoing issue. And it's so important to raise awareness and educate others. So truly grateful and honored to have you a part of that as well.
I agree. I'm a big advocate of bullying, but also most people will have been in a relationship that is abusive, that leads to domestic violence. It's very, very common. People should not be ashamed of this, should they, Gigi, if they're going through it?
No, they should not be ashamed of it. And this is the thing, pain for purpose. And essentially, if you are a survivor of domestic violence, remember that your voice and your story is somebody else's hope. Be the voice for the voiceless. And so when we talk about domestic violence, it is an ongoing issue as well in our society. And you raised a great point earlier in regards to when, even though COVID is occurring, that domestic violence is happening in the homes as we speak. And so it's so important to have these discussions about domestic violence.
Let's go a little bit further into domestic violence, some of the facts about it. Also, narcissism is very, very rife in business, in relationships. Let's talk about that a little bit, Gigi.
Absolutely. So often in our society, it's taught that domestic violence only happens to women, but that's not the case. It also does happen to men.
Yes.
And so, yes, just recently, I hosted the global virtual panel of domestic violence survivors, and we had both men and women. In fact, we had a gentleman who spoke about a woman hitting him in his eye socket, and he lost part of his eyesight. So it's so important to acknowledge that it does happen to both. And then also, too, it does not just happen in heterosexual relationships. It also happens in homosexual relationships. And then domestic violence does not just occur in relationships. It also happens in family homes. So if a parent is being abusive to a child, that is domestic violence. If a sibling is being abusive to another sibling, that is domestic violence. So it's so important to acknowledge all of those factors. And then domestic violence is not just physical. Domestic violence is emotional, mental, financial, and then there's PTSD that's tied to it.
Yes, that's a great point, actually. I know all about narcissism. I've had a couple of relationships where they were narcissists, and it's a very, very traumatic thing. Firstly, to let the relationship go, even when you're going through trauma, abuse, because you lose all self-worth. So it's hard leaving the abuser initially, but then what is really hard is getting over it when that relationship comes to an end. You do suffer really bad stress, anxiety. I would say PTSD, not eating, not sleeping. it's really, really traumatic experience. What tips and advice do you have people who are going through this right now to help them if they need support to move forwards?
Absolutely. I would tell those individuals to focus in on those signs and just be cautious to know if you are in that type of relationship. And remember that when you're dealing with a narcissist, there are a lot of signs and red flags. And so what a narcissist truly wants is that power and control. And so they use that force and those threats, and then they use intimidation, emotional abuse, isolation, and then, they deny and blame. And then they use children as well, male privilege, and economic abuse. So there's so many different factors that tie into that narcissistic character trait. And so if you're listening to this message today and you are in that type of relationship and you're dealing with that type of individual, you are in danger. You are in danger. And so it's so important to contact the National Domestic Violence Hotline, which is 800-799-7233.
Great points, Gigi. I would say educate yourself. Even on YouTube, you can study narcissism. And when you are educated, you can really learn every single trick that a narcissist will use. So having the education is that first step into making progress. Just having knowledge of how a narcissist's mind works, how they gaslight you, they use triangulation, they use mirroring. When you know all of the techniques, it's a lot less easy to get targeted because you know the trick book that they are using. And if you are in a narcissistic relationship, trust me, we know it's not easy to get out of, but educate yourself and admit that there are problems in your relationship so that you can slowly make progress and move towards a better future. Gigi, I have really enjoyed the first part of the show. Please stay where you are because we have lots still to cover yet. Thank you everyone for joining us for part 1 of Brilliance Business TV. We're joined with Regeline Gigi Sabbat. She has shared her personal journey of struggling through domestic violence and being the victim of death by strangulation. She saw the light. She found her power. She now is a motivational keynote speaker, a coach, and best-selling author. Join us for part 2. Welcome back to Brilliance Business TV. We are joined with the incredible Regeline Gigi Sabbat, motivational keynote speaker. She has shared her personal journey of going through domestic violence, nearly dying from death by strangulation. Today, she is a motivational keynote speaker, coach, best-selling author. Gigi, welcome back to Brilliance Business TV.
Thank you, Mark. So excited to be back.
You are involved in a couple of incredible events this year. So on November the 20th, you're involved in the business conference. Tell us all about this, Gigi.
Absolutely. So that will be the Global Business Conference on November 20th. And so I have expert leaders from all over the world to really provide those tools and those resources that individuals need, especially during this time after going through COVID all these past few years. Because what has happened is a lot of people went out of business, they lost their businesses, or they're just getting back to starting their business or a new business. And so they need assistance in how to do so. But also too, our society is changing and how we do business is changing. Because if we look at the technology component and our future in society, business will no longer be done the same. And so I really want to focus in on those components that are not being discussed in our society.
Great points, actually. The pandemic has been really tragic for many people, losing jobs, employment, businesses, but also, like you mentioned, many people have thrived through the pandemic. It's definitely been a time of change and transformation for the whole of the world. And it's important now, as we get light at the end of the tunnel, we're slowly moving out of it. We are improving, that we really focus back on what is important: family, relationships, friends, but also business. This is a time for us to get back what we have lost, to rebuild those things that were taken from us through the pandemic, or to keep on thriving if we did thrive. When is the event? I know it's on the 20th of November. How can people get to be part of this incredible event?
Absolutely. Great question. So they can go on to Eventbrite. That's the Global Business Conference, and reserve your virtual seat. And then also too, they can go on Facebook under events. If they type in Global Business Conference, they will find the event and they can mark themselves going. So definitely reserve your virtual seat today. Again, this is an event you do not want to miss.
And also, you have another event that you're taking part of, Find Your Inner Beauty. Tell us all about this one.
Absolutely. So the Finding Your Inner Beauty Women's Conference was founded by Mari Gomez and Daniel Gomez. And so Mari Gomez, she's a breast cancer survivor. And so she had this vision to have this conference with women who have survived breast cancer, but then also too, it's not just for women, because men have attended the conferences in the past and they have received so much value from this conference. So if you're listening to this message today, definitely reserve your seat today as well for that conference. And it's in San Antonio, Texas on October 16th.
And breast cancer, we have a girl band here in the UK. I'm not sure you've heard of them in the States, Girls Aloud. There was a group member named Sarah Harding. She was the same age as me, Regeline, and she died just about a week ago from breast cancer. It's just scary when someone that you have admired, grew up with, listened to their music, they're the same age as you. They have their life taken away from such a tragic illness. Can you share a few words of how important it is that we support breast cancer?
Absolutely. It's very important, because a lot of time those individuals, especially having to go through maybe a double mastectomy, they literally feel no self-esteem. They have low self-esteem. And that's what many of the people said, that spoke on the global virtual panel of breast cancer survivors event that I had, is that self-esteem, that confidence is removed. But what happens is that once you dig deep within inside yourself, they find their inner beauty. And so I think it's such a beautiful conference that Mari Gomez and Daniel Gomez put together. in regards to finding your inner beauty women's conference, because it really brings that awareness and realization that beauty is not the outside factors that matter. It's really within you.
I just love you, Gigi. You're so down to earth, humble, even though you're on global stages, you're really successful. I have got to know you personally. I love how humble you are, where you're coming from. You really are walking the walk and talking the talk, and always supporting such important topics, campaigns, subjects. You are really changing the world. Now, you are a best-selling author. You are part of many collaboration books, and you also have your own 2 books. Let's talk a little bit first about Walk With Me. Tell us a little bit about what the book has to offer, what the book is about.
Absolutely. Walk With Me is a spiritual walk. And essentially, it's all about helping others understand the importance of never giving up. So I mentioned the trials and tribulations that I've had to overcome in my life, such as sexual assault and domestic violence, to help others understand that they too can do the same. And so Les Brown did write the foreword for Walk With Me. And he talks about Walk With Me being a survivor's handbook, especially for those in those toxic relationships, because you are not truly living your God's purpose for your life if you're dealing with those toxic relationships and you have them in your life. So it's so important to remove those toxic relationships from your life. And then God First is all about raising awareness about the importance of having God first in our lives, because we would not have all the issues that we have in society if people were to keep God in his proper place, which is first. And then, yes, I do have several book collaborations with many other authors.
And when you're coming from a place of love as well, the world is such a better place. I believe in God. I always have. I always look around at the amazingness of the world, the universe, how it works like clockwork, life, trees, stars. And I just think, I know that this is no accident. There's some kind of creator. And to me, that's what God is, the universe, the creator. And it's important that we all come from a place of love. The world will always be a better place. Tell us a little bit about the book God First as well.
Absolutely. Yes. So God First, it's a really great place to start for those really looking to see how important it is to keep God first in their lives, and not just in one aspect of your life, not just your life, but also in your business. Because too often individuals go to their job and what happens is they check out. They say, okay, I have to leave God at the door now because society tells me that I cannot have him a part in my business, and that I cannot discuss my religion freely. So the time has come now in our society where we need to be able to discuss our religion freely. That's freedom, right? So we should have the freedom to speak about our religion freely, and we should be able to have God a part of our business. And if you're a business owner, it's so important to have God first in your business, because that should be a part of your morals and values in how you do business. It's so important. And then also too, a lot of times people believe that they can't have a relationship with God because they say, well, don't I need to be perfect to have a relationship with God? I can't kneel before the Lord because I'm not perfect. And that's a lot of negative self-talk that a lot of individuals say to themselves. But that's not the case. God does not seek for you to be perfect. God wants you as you are, and he wants to help you in all areas of your life. And again, that includes your business. It's so important. I have to emphasize on that because, again, too many people leave that out, and it's so important to keep him in your heart when you go to work.
I think what you mentioned about we should be openly able to talk about our religion, no matter what religion we are. I myself was born Christian, but I'm very spiritual. I'm very open-minded to all religions. And that comes from a place of oneness and love and respecting each other to be free. So I really like what you mentioned there, Gigi. I would encourage everyone to grab a free sample of Walk With Me, Gigi's book. All you have to do is go to her website, Life Service Center of America, LLC.com. That's Life Service Center of America, LLC.com. I'll say that once more, Life Service Center of America, LLC.com. Press get started and grab your free sample of Walk With Me. Gigi, you are a real shining star, really walking with integrity, supporting people to achieve their potential. Before we close the show today, can you just tell our audience how you work with your clients and how you help them to achieve their potential, so that anyone out there watching that resonates with you, they know exactly how you could support them?
Absolutely. So I provide one-on-one coaching, and then I also do group coaching. And then I provide motivational programs and courses that are taught by me via my website. And so I honestly wouldn't know what program to provide them with until I meet them with them one-on-one. So I would highly recommend to get on my calendar, and I look forward to speaking with you and seeing how I can be of assistance to you. And I'm truly excited to work with you.
Gigi, I have really enjoyed having a conversation with you. Thank you so much for being my guest today on Brilliance Business TV. To close the show, I'm going to give you a few words of wisdom to close the show. So in your own words, if there are people out there struggling with domestic violence, abuse, bullying, stress, anxiety, PTSD, just give them a few words of wisdom to close the show.
Absolutely. To always remember to never give up, no matter what trials or tribulations or challenges you're facing. And also remember that you may be going through this challenge right now, but there is hope on the other side. And so just hold on to that hope. Keep God first in your life, or the God you believe in, higher power. And remember that you're not alone, because Joshua 1:9 states, haven't I commanded you to be strong and courageous? Do not be afraid or discouraged, for your Lord your God is with you wherever you go. And remember that this may have occurred, but that, again, God's plan for your life and his purpose for your life is bigger than you could have ever imagined. Just hold on.
Hold on. Thank you so much, Gigi, for coming on to the Brilliance Business Show. I've really enjoyed a conversation with you.
Likewise. Thank you for having me.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you, everyone, for watching Brilliance Business TV, conversations with leading experts in business.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.